Hey everyone, John Mike here, and I'm back with another video. Today I'm reviewing the new film Tron Ares, the third film in this Tron saga from Disney. And the film goes as follows. Tron Ares follows a highly sophisticated program named ARES, played by Jared Leto, and is sent from the digital world into the real world on a dangerous mission. And yes, this is a follow-up to, I believe it's 2010's Tron Legacy, but also follow up to the 1980s film Tron, with actor Jeff Bridges returning back into his role as Kevin Flynn. As the story been long overdue for fans of Tron, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I have been part of the the Tron, you won't call it cult, if you call it, people in the small minority that enjoy the Tron films, especially. I got all my merch and everything. And I told you I was as a fan of Tron Legacy when I was a kid, because I believe I was 12 years old when Tron Legacy came out. Daft Punk, all of that, I enjoyed it. I know it wasn't the best film, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine. Now, after 13 years later, we are back with this film. Now, does this film deliver? Well, depends on what you mean by deliver. If you are going to go in this film expecting a strong, sophisticated, deep story that expands the lore and actually give you a memorable story, this is probably not gonna be the film for you. If you actually are here for Tron in terms of the visual effects and the thrill and the ride of all the vehicles and the action, the special effects and everything, and just going on and turn your brain off and just go along for the ride that the actual theme park counterpart is on for Disney and Disney parks and everything, then you probably will have an enjoyable time. I would say I was whelmed. I wasn't underwhelmed. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was just whelmed. Now, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of Easter eggs in this film connecting to not only Tron Legacy, but to the original Tron film in the 80s, especially when you have characters tied to original characters. When we have newcomers here like Greta Lee, who plays co-CEO of Encom, Eve Kim, and you also have Evan Peters, who plays the grandson, Julian Dillinger of the corporation of Dillinger Company, from the original Tron film, right? And with this, you see that they're on a race to find this particular type of code that will allow programs to exist in the real world forever, right? And again, you've seen the strive for corporate greed and whatever, or the strive for scientific innovation that can actually save humanity, cure diseases, all that stuff. And we're seeing two sides of the same coin, wanting to know how to use programs for their own personal gain, or actually to save humanity. But yet, it all centers around Jared Leto, who plays Ares, a program who's trained to basically be a soldier, a military soldier, by Dillinger, by Evan Peters' character, right? And I will say is that throughout this film that you see him kind of actually, as he's beginning to build his own consciousness and questioning his existence and his true purpose, his true mission. Then he starts to go on a journey of self-discovery, as he interacts with a character, Greta Lee character Eve Kim, who's a grieving sister, who's also new co-CEOs of Encom. And if you remember Encom, this is the company from Tron that Kevin Flynn owned, and from Tron Legacy that Sam Flynn, his son, who was the majority stake shareholder of that company. Well, in this film, there is little to no reference of Tron Legacy at all, at least not as much as I would like it as a fan of Tron Legacy, because again, it's the glue. It's been 13 years. Some people haven't even seen Tron Legacy. Some people haven't even seen the original Tron film from the 80s. And what you have here, unfortunately, is just attempt to try to re-spark the franchise that honestly you could have kept that momentum back in 2010, but unfortunately, this project was far overdue. This was in development hell, because if you actually done your research, that Jared Leto was attached to this project for a very, very long time. And now finally, after 13 years, we actually get this film coming out and this story developed. And but also we get returning characters like Kevin Flynn, Jeff Bridges. Now, if you understand the events that happened in Tron Legacy, they do a very interesting way of having him return. But we hear most of the things that I feel that kind of kept this film falling short in terms of actually being a very entertaining film really is the story. It's the story. Because again, it felt that if they put more respect and care that they do in their visual effects and their animation and everything like that in the action scenes to their plot, you will have a probably a perfect film, or at least a near perfect film. And what we have here is basically a lot of visual noise and again, no substance. And what I mean by that is that you're on for the ride, but not there for the story. You're not there. You're on for the thrill and the adrenaline rush, but not there for any of the particular characters or any performances in this film. Especially when we talk about Jared Leto, I felt that his performance as ARES as a program came across very wooden and stiff. Now, again, he's playing a robotic program. What is he supposed to act like? Well, in the story that he's supposed to be going through in this entire film, I felt again he just felt a little bit wooden and kind of a little bit seems like phoning in, like Jared Leto just being Jared Leto in a Tron outfit, and having somewhat chemistry with Eve Kim, Greta Lee's character, who I believe also gave a very interesting performance in this film too. Because that would definitely was believable, her being a grieving sister, but yeah, she's striving to find this particular type of code, the scientific innovation to actually, pay respect to her sister who lost her life to an illness, right? And I felt again, along with that, you also have Evan Peters, who's a fantastic actor. He gives a very interesting performance here, being the grandson of Dillinger and this very power-hungry CEO, trying to ship to shareholders. And also, there's also a few cameos in this film too. Very interesting ones. Like, oh, I didn't expect to see him in, but yeah, just keep an eye out for that. But I felt that in terms of any emotional weight and stakes in this film, I felt it really became frustrating to me that I wasn't fully enjoying a lot of the action scenes because the plot and the story that was behind it had nothing in terms of any type of weight for me as a viewer. But if you're just going on for the visuals and the lights and everything like that, remember, I was 12 years old when I saw Tron Legacy. If you just turn your brain off, and if you're a kid and you just watch this movie, you're probably going to enjoy this film, especially if you see this in 3D and IMAX. But I felt as a follow-up to the Tron Legacy and Tron film, I felt this film is trying to do a lot of things of not only honoring the minority of fans for Tron Legacy, but also respecting the original 1980s era of Tron, even visually in certain scenes. You'll see that. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I did felt that this was really a incomplete film, and really again going back to the plot, especially when you get to other programs like characters like Athena and other aspects of Tron World that were asking questions from follow-up from Tron Legacy. And again, for me as someone who is part of that said community, while I'm watching this film, the one question that kept coming up is, hey, did these writers actually seen Tron Legacy? Because the plot that they give us, if you've seen Tron Legacy, particularly with one character, this basically will make this entire plot of this film irrelevant, because you have a character that will solve this entire plot by this character existing, and they do. And I felt again, they just felt like, oh yeah, we can't really address this. We can get this actor to come back or actress to come back, whatever. But I guess we'll just do what we can with these new characters and Jared Leto. Yes, right. And with this film coming out, especially now when Jared Leto is not being viewed in the best light, I felt this mediocre plot really does not do anything to serve this film to the best of its ability. I do believe they actually gave some sense of effort, especially visually, because a lot of things, again, why I love Tron and certain cool action scenes and stuff. Now, I will also mention, lastly, the score. I remember, and probably some of you in my generation remember, Daft Punk, who had led a stamp. Their identity, I remember Tron Legacy, I remember Daft Punk and that amazing score, right? And here you have Nine Inch Nails producing the music for this film. And I felt that even though that there was a few scenes, especially a lot of chase scenes, particularly two, that elevated because of their soundtrack, I felt their soundtrack came a little bit too much and overpowered to the point that characters are talking, you don't even know what they're saying. But I think, again, when you're watching, like, is it really the point? Are you supposed to understand what these characters are saying? Just be thrilled, like, oh look, bass, treble music. You're in the treble. You're hearing, you're seeing the lights. You're seeing the visuals. You're feeling the bass coming in, right? That's what you need to feel, right? But again, a roller coaster than actually a full fleshed out story. And I felt like, I don't want to disrespect Nine Inch Nails, because I do believe, they are great in terms of what they do, and love some of their music. But for me, I don't know, the Tron legacy purist, you want to call it, Daft Punk, to me, it's like they still have not beaten Daft Punk in that amazing score from Tron Legacy. And even after this film, I'm still thinking about Tron Legacy's Daft Punk, not Nine Inch Nails from Tron ARES. And that's unfortunate. I felt they were just trying to find, hey, how can we recreate that? Because Daft Punk is broken up, whatever. So, well, what can we do? And I feel if you actually understand the music industry, you're probably about maybe a list of 5, maybe even 7 artists that are bands and performers and stuff that you could have done to actually give this 80s retroistic music that is what in the vein that Tron is. But unfortunately, you paid way more for Nine Inch Nails that I think you could have paid half price, but with better quality for other artists and stuff that actually will be better in terms of what this franchise belongs in this 80s retroistic era, in terms of this genre. And I felt, again, Nine Inch Nails, even though, again, it didn't feel like it was out of place, it just felt imbalanced compared to Tron Legacy with Daft Punk. And I felt that score and that soundtrack felt balanced compared to this. But aside from that, if you're going to go in this film and expect any type of really deep emotional story and having type of emotional weight to it, this film, please keep your expectations low. I do encourage you to go see this film in IMAX in 3D and go along for the ride that it is at Disney parks, right? And if you get the chance to go see this at 4DX, I will highly recommend see this film in 4DX, because it's very interesting, and I would love to experience that, in terms of as an audience viewer who has experienced 4DX and stuff. And this film is available in 4DX. Please go see this film in 4DX. But that concludes my review. Make sure you subscribe button, comment, like, and share. If you've seen Tron ARES, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.